Afghanistan, landlocked multi-ethnic country. Afghanistan is located in Central Asia with Iran to the west and Pakistan to the east. Official name, Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. Capital, Kabul. Population, 29,835,392 inhabitants, 2011. Size, 647,500 square kilometers. Time zone, GMT plus 4.5. Currency, Afghani. Official languages, Dari, Persian, and Pashto. Geography. Afghanistan is located in Central Asia with Iran to the west and Pakistan to the east. Afghanistan is completely landlocked. The nearest coast lies along the Arabian Sea, about 300 miles, 480 kilometers, to the south, and, because of both its isolation and its volatile political history, it remains one of the most poorly surveyed areas of the world. It is bounded to the east and south by Pakistan, including those areas of Kashmir administered by Pakistan but claimed by India, to the west by Iran, and to the north by the Central Asian states of Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. It also has a short border with Xinjiang, China, at the end of the long, narrow Wakhan corridor. In the extreme northeast, the jagged mountain peaks are treacherous, and are snow-covered for most of the year. Many Afghans live in the fertile valleys between the mountains and grow their crops and tend to their animals. Only 20% of the land is used as fields. Summers are hot and dry, but the winters are very cold, especially north of the Hindu Kush, which is located in the eastern part of the country near Pakistan and Tajikistan. Many rivers flow through the mountain gorges. Snow melt and rain that flow out of the Hindu Kush pool into a low area and never reach the ocean. The mountain passes in Afghanistan allow travelers passage across Asia. The country was a busy section of the Silk Road, a route that merchants have traveled overland between China, India, and Europe for over 2,000 years. People and culture. Afghanistan is rich in traditions and customs, and has long been a melting pot for an array of ethnic groups and cultures. The country is geographically positioned at the meeting point of four major cultural areas: the Middle East, Central Asia, the Indian subcontinent, and the Far East. The country is made of many different groups. About 15 million people, nearly half of Afghanistan's population, are Pashtuns and live in the south around Kandahar. They are descendants of people who came to the country 3,200 years ago. Many other groups live in the country as well. Pashtuns are related to the Persian people of Iran. The Tajiks are also Persian, but speak another language called Dari, and the Uzbeks speak a language similar to Turkish. The Hazaras live in the mountains of central Afghanistan and are believed to be descendants of the Mongols because their Dari language contains many Mongol words. Due to many years of war, the countryside is littered with unexploded mines, and children who herd animals are often killed by stepping on mines. Many schools have been destroyed, but children, including girls, go to school in ruins or wherever possible. Over the centuries, travelers have braved the dangerous high mountain passes to find shelter in the valleys and plains of Afghanistan. Today nomads called Kuchi lead their herds of animals across the country and into the mountain pastures for grazing. Afghans take pride in making and flying their own kites. They even have kite fights and use wire or glass in their kites to cut the kite strings of rival kite flyers. Tea is the favorite Afghan drink, and a popular meal is pulao, made from rice, sheep and goat meats, and fruit. Hospitality is an integral part of Afghan culture, with the best possible food being served for guests, always following a cup of delicious tea, of course. Tea is drank multiple times every day, is offered to all guests, and most families have their own recipe. Food is traditionally eaten communally, sat on large colorful cushions called tashak placed around a low table called a sandali. From kebabs and palaw to marinated meats and fruit, a variety of special dishes are prepared throughout the year. Whether during religious celebrations or festivals, or at engagements and weddings, there is always an excuse to eat well. It is whilst listening to music when the various linguistic, ethnic and regional cultural traditions of Afghanistan are perhaps the most prominent. Folk music from the southern Pashtun regions, that come in the poetic form of a landai, composed of 9 and 13 syllable lines, contrast with the Dari four-line Chahar-Baiti form traditionally found in the West. Fused together with Western influences with the foundation of Radio Kabul in 1941, a nationwide Afghan style of music began to form. It was this era that produced internationally famous Afghan artists such as Ahmad Zahir, and later Farhad Darya. History. Afghanistan was settled around 700 BC and has been in transition for most of its history. Alexander the Great conquered Afghanistan in 330 BC and brought the Greek language and culture to the region. Genghis Khan's Mongols invaded in the 13th century. In 1747, Pashtun elders held a council meeting called Aloya Jirga and created the Kingdom of the Afghans. The British and Afghans fought in 3 wars in the 19th and 20th centuries, but the Afghans finally defeated the British in 1919 and formed an independent monarchy in 1921. In 1978, the People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan, PDPA, seized power in the country, setting in motion a series of events that would turn the poor, mostly peaceful country into a breeding ground for terrorism. The PDPA's occupation of Afghanistan eventually led to civil war, or a war between citizens of the same country. Afghan fighters called the Mujahideen fought against the PDPA. These rebels later received aid from the United States, Pakistan, China, and Iran. The Soviet Union, now called Russia, supported the PDPA regime. Soviet forces invaded Afghanistan in 1979 and remained in the country until 1989. Civil war continued in Afghanistan after the Soviet departure until the fall of the PDPA regime in 1992. After the PDPA's fall, various groups fought to gain control of the country. The Taliban emerged in 1994 and quickly began to take over cities across Afghanistan, with military support from Pakistan. During the Taliban's rule, the group was condemned by the international community for murdering innocent Afghan civilians and denying food supplies to starving citizens. In 2001, following the terrorist attacks in the United States on September 11 of that year, the U.S. government demanded that the Taliban hand over Osama bin Laden, the leader of a terrorist group called Al-Qaeda, which was based in Afghanistan. The Taliban refused. The United States and its allies then took military action in Afghanistan and drove the Taliban from power in December 2001. Both the Taliban and Al-Qaeda fled Afghanistan and relocated to nearby Pakistan, where they set up political and military outposts. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, the United States and its allies worked with Afghans to set up schools, hospitals, and public facilities following the Taliban's departure. Thousands of girls, who were banned from being educated under Taliban rule, went to school for the first time. Women were free to get jobs and take part in government activities, both of which were forbidden under the Taliban. In 2004, Afghanistan adopted its current constitution and became an internationally recognized government, electing Hamid Karzai as its first president. Under its constitution, the president and 2 vice presidents are elected every 5 years. But the government struggled to extend its authority beyond the capital city of Kabul because the Taliban forces continued to try to regain control of the country. In 2020, the Taliban and the Afghan government began to discuss a peace treaty, and though some people were concerned that the talks wouldn't progress, U.S. President Donald Trump planned to remove U.S. troops from the country by May 2021. His successor, Joe Biden, extended the date for the withdrawal to August 31 of that year. After nearly 20 years of U.S. occupation in Afghanistan, the United States' longest war was going to end. But the people who were concerned about the peace treaty talks stalling were right. Following Biden's official announcement in July and the start of the withdrawal of international troops, the Taliban quickly took over multiple cities by force and brought back their extreme practices. By August 15, 2021, the Taliban had taken control of all major cities, including the capital of Kabul. President Ashraf Ghani fled the country, and the Afghan government all but collapsed. The United States sent military troops to the country to help the American diplomats and support staff at the U.S. Embassy in Kabul evacuate safely. Some facts. Afghanistan flag against city blurred background at sunrise. Backlight. Afghanistan is a very unique country. The culture, history, food, and even the place itself are not something you won't find elsewhere. Afghanistan's unique culture and interesting cultural traditions are very different from what most countries practice. So much so, even a basic rundown of general Afghanistan facts might really surprise you. Afghanistan's people are strong believers in the omnipresent God and adhere to Islamic values. Their faith deeply shaped their cultural and national identity. What they believe in influences how they dress, what they eat, how they speak. Praising Allah, the name of their God, often appears in casual conversation. Afghans are fiercely devoted to their clans and tribes. They are welcoming and trustworthy people who place high importance on personal honor and duty as the foundations of social structure. In Afghan culture, men and women never shake hands or make eye contact. Only in families do unrestricted contact between people of different gender occurs. Authorities prohibit women from wearing skirts or blouses without sleeves. And if you visit Afghanistan during Ramadan, you may not eat, chew gum, or drink music in front of local. Quick facts. 1. Afghanistan is the 37th most populated country in the world. 2. Afghanistan has a land area of 652,000 square kilometers or 252,000 square miles. 3. It is the 41st largest country in the world. 4. Afghanistan has 6 bordering countries. 5. Afghanistan became a member of the United Nations in 1946. 6. The official languages in Afghanistan are Dari and Pashto. 7. Dari is a Persian language in Afghanistan. 8. King Muhammad Zahir Shah made Pashto the national language of Afghanistan. 9. Afghanistan's population growth rate is one of the highest in the world. 10. Afghanistan has the highest number of refugees in the world. 11. Kabul is the capital of Afghanistan. 12. Gardens of Babur is a historical place in Kabul. 13. Garden of Babur became the resting place of the Mughal emperor. 14. 42% of Afghanistan's population is below the poverty line. 15. Polygamy is acceptable in Afghanistan. 16. Afghanistan recorded 240 honor killings. 17. The national flag of Afghanistan has 3 colors. 18. Afghanistan's flag features the national emblem. 19. Oshak is Kabul's traditional dumpling. 20. Kabuli Pulao is the national dish of Afghanistan. 21. Sheer kurma is a holiday dessert. 22. Afghanistan produces tons of fresh fruits. 23. Afghanistan exports handwoven rugs. 24. Afghanistan has vast natural resources. 25. Rohullah Nikpai is a 2-time Olympic medalist. 26. Mirwais Azizi is the richest man in Afghanistan. 27. There are 2 KFC restaurants in Kabul, but KFC does not stand for Kentucky Fried Chicken. 28. Handshake between opposite sex is not allowed. 29. A pig named Khanzir is the only pig in Afghanistan. 30. Buzkashi is Afghanistan's national sport. 31. Nowruz is the Afghan New Year. 32. Friday is a Muslim sacred day. 33. 60% of out-of-school youth are girls. 34. The number of internet users has slightly increased. 35. Afghans eat using their right hand. 36. Zablon Simantov is the only Jew living in Afghanistan. 37. The life expectancy in Afghanistan is 64.96 years old. 38. The Hindu Kush is 800 meters long. 39. Helmand is the longest river in Afghanistan. 40. Taliban is a political group in Afghanistan. 41. Al-Qaeda is a terrorist group. 42. Osama bin Laden founded Al-Qaeda. 43. Casio F-91W is a sign of Al-Qaeda. 44. The world's 2 biggest Buddhas are in Afghanistan. 45. Afghans consider dogs unclean and impure. 46. Tuberculosis is a serious health problem in Afghanistan. 47. Drinking alcohol is illegal in Afghanistan. 48. Most Afghans celebrate their birthday on January 1st. 49. Kapisa is the smallest province in Afghanistan. 50. Nilufar Rahmani is the first female pilot of the Afghan Air Force. 51. Arnold Schwarzenegger has a lot of fans in Afghanistan. 52. Afghanistan is the leading opium producer. 53. The Blue Mosque is Afghanistan's haven of peace. 54. Afghani is the country's currency. 55. An entire city in Afghanistan has weekly poetry nights. If you enjoy, please subscribe.